Jackson Winters is one of the greatest criminal masterminds to ever live, except he's rotting in jail after his last doomed score. But when a filthy rich collector breaks Winters out, he's tasked to put together an elite team of paranormal experts to do the impossible: steal a ghost from a haunted house of horrors. Welcome everybody to another exciting episode, another edition of A Week in Geekdom here on YouTube. I am your host, Giovanni Menendez, and today I have a very special video for you guys. One, we are reviewing a very cool book, and two, our very first sponsor. Yes, we have a sponsor that I cannot wait to talk to you guys about it. So please stay tuned to the end of the video, pretty please. Alright, so what did I read this week for you guys? An awesome, intriguing, fun, quirky book that is parts Ocean's 11, part The Shining, or so they want you to believe, but I beg to differ. I have a very different opinion on the book. Of course, I am talking about Joshua Williamson's Ghosted Volume 1. I love the subject matter, I love horror movies and all that stuff, but I generally don't read books in this genre. However, this was really intriguing. I love the creative team behind this. You've got Goran Zutsuka and Sean Phillips as well, with Joshua creating a very interesting story about this criminal mastermind, if you will, that gets assigned a very impossible, some would say, task of stealing a ghost from a haunted mansion. Now, Jackson Winters is a guy that failed his previous mission. He gets a second chance to redeem himself and do this heist with the promise of fortune and even a private island. Now, the character that wants him to do it, I cannot reveal his full backstory because that would be a full-on spoiler, but the character's first name is Marcus. Marcus is an old, cynical bastard that wants to collect everything. He wants an eccentric, unique collection of oddities and fortune and all that stuff. So what did I think of Ghosted? It is a very fun premise, a very spooky premise at that. You've got this rich bastard that's trying to get this guy to go in this house supposedly to find ghosts. Whether you believe in it or not, they do exist in this universe, in this world that is being created. Now, the art in this book actually complements Joshua's writing. The art is spectacular. Goran's art, you may have seen him in Y: The Last Man. His art is actually pretty well suited. However, that is actually one of my nitpicks with this book. While the art is great, this story is supposed to be spooky and scary. The art, on the other hand, is very light, and even though when you see a character in the dark, it's all very bright and colorful, and I think a grungier, dirtier, more scarier art would have benefited for this book. I know that maybe it's not the full intention of it being a gore fest or a scare-a-thon, if you will, but to me, if you really wanted to create that full experience of being in that haunted horror of a mansion, then maybe something a little bit dirtier or grungier, like I said just now, would have helped this book a lot more. Now, like I said at the beginning of the video, they'd like to reference this book as sort of this mashup between Ocean's 11 and The Shining. I don't really see it that way. One, because our main protagonist has to assemble this team and you get this sort of Ocean's 11 vibe, but that's really the end of it. He gets around to recruiting a varied assortment of people, skeptics, non-believers, as well as TV reality people, and believers as well, psychic mediums and all that stuff. Yeah, the premise is a heist, and it's a very weird heist because how the hell would you steal a ghost? Well, they go about it in a very interesting fashion. One of the characters actually presents a way to do it, and you're like, well, if you believe in this sort of thing, then hell yeah, that makes a ton of sense. That's how you would go about it. But like I said, that's basically it when it comes to the Ocean's 11 part. And yes, I do see references and why you would say The Shining, but really this sort of reminded me of something like Cabin in the Woods or 13 Ghosts, and that type of environment. It wasn't really scary at all. And if you're doing a horror book, I think the basic thing that has to happen is that you spook your readers, because that's the subject matter. If it's a comedy book, you should be able to laugh at it, or else it's not really doing the job you intended it to. That's my opinion about this book. I think Ghosted is a fun, adventurous ride filled with supernatural stories. This first volume doesn't really deliver on the spooks. I have heard that the subsequent volumes 2, 3, and 4 are much better, and I will be reviewing the whole series, but we're just focusing on volume 1. So yeah, like I said, story element could be a lot more dark and scarier in my opinion, because they're going into this mansion at daylight because they don't want to be stuck there in nighttime. And when you get hints of what's happening during the night, it's actually pretty cool, pretty frightening, and actually pretty damn scary. But yeah, they don't take full advantage of it. I cannot wait to see where the story goes from here. The ending of it is actually pretty nice. It did feel like a solid conclusion, if you will, but knowing there's more to it, I am relieved, because some of the story elements feel a bit rushed, especially towards the end. It's 5 issues of this heist, and towards the end, everything happens at really quick pace. I did not expect this to be over at 5 issues. Obviously the story continues, but the heist and everything does have a conclusion of sorts. When you start reading the book, everything is progressing slowly and steadily, but once the action picks up and you see all the frightening things inside the house, things sort of just go downhill from there. Everything happens at a really quick pace, and some of the characters make really odd decisions, especially the assistant to the old man, Marcus. And once you know the secret of the house and what's actually happening, it's actually a pretty cool reveal. But I think it could have been done better if the story were longer. I don't know. I don't want to get ahead of myself. I don't know what happens from issue 6 onwards, but what I am presented here, which is the introductory volume, which is what people will be reading at first glance, then yeah, everything happens a little bit too quickly for my own taste. So yeah, that's my review for Ghosted. And since we're talking about art, Jim Sabo is a sketch artist. He does amazing work. I love his art, and I got in contact with him and I said, you know what, it would be great if I could show some of your art on this channel, and he agreed to. I made a very specific commission because I am a huge Inhumans fan, and as you can see, I love his work here, drawing one of my favorite characters, Black Bolt, Queen Medusa herself, and Lockjaw. Really fantastic art. I love the detail in it, as you can see for yourself. I love this so much. Thank you so much to Jim for making this possible. If you want to see more of his work, or if you want some art of your own on these cool little sketch cards, then I beg you to please check out his Instagram profile. You go to Jim Sabo Art on Instagram, and pretty soon a Facebook page, which I assume will be Jim Sabo Art as well. But yeah, Instagram, just go search for Jim Sabo on IG. So thank you so much. Alright guys, thank you so much for watching. Thank you for liking, subscribing, and doing all that awesome stuff that you guys do. And comment down below what you thought of Ghosted. Of course, you can follow me on your favorite social media platform, from Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, Snapchat, and many more. Just type a Week in Geekdom, and I'm there for you guys. Alright, I gotta go. I have more books to read and review for all of you, and I will catch you on our next video. Ghosted.